What now? What do we do now? Oh, I'm Representative Gary Hopper. This is my my newest co-host, Josh, who is not nearly as pretty as Rochelle.
Oh, thanks a lot.
I'm sorry. It's
I'm not touching
Okay,
that.
I'm not.
yeah. Because just so people know, Rochelle and Johnny have been producing the show for I think at least a year. They're wonderful. But Wilson Hill Pistol Club is now the new producer, which lets Johnny and Rochelle off the hook, and it should be pretty good, pretty good meshing, because I'm pretty well a gun nut. So
I've heard that about
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
I bought a new one yesterday,
Oh, did you?
but
really?
don't tell my wife.
How
So
much you
back
pay
at,
for it?
Wait, say that again.
don't record it. It's illegal to record people, Al. Oh, our guest tonight is Representative Al Baldasaro, one of the lead troublemakers in the New Hampshire House of Representatives. You got a title now, too. What the heck are
I
you?
am.
What are
It's,
you?
I'm the
Grand
floor leader.
Flamage? Oh,
The floor leader that sets up all the fights and debates and makes. I got a deputy and I got 5 assistants.
you got a
and-
deputy.
yeah, I'm big time this year.
Wow.
You know, things are happening. Why do you
never-
think we've been 100%? On votes.
We've been doing pretty
I
good.
brought, who do you think brought the team together?
Al
You know,
Baldasaro,
that's right.
maybe? Yeah.
Because, being HRA, House Republican Alliance, for those that don't know, we're the Constitution, it's
Yeah.
Liberty people. And naturally, HRA is on board with me, and we're on the same sheet of music. So they worked with the Republican Party big time. They're all Republicans anyways.
Right. Yeah, it
It
is.
was a great team there this session here, fighting the Democrats.
Yeah, we've been
tax
doing
and
pretty
spenders.
good. We get just so you know, there's the governor vetoed. Did he already veto all the gun bills? Or
I don't know if he vetoed them all, but I know he's going to veto them. They're all,
right?
yeah, they're all
There's
going
already
away.
been a few
Yeah.
vetoed,
Mm-hmm.
and based on the vote last spring or early summer, we easily have enough votes to keep those from becoming law.
Right. Yeah. They're not going to be overridden. There's no way. 669. I mean, I did the PI on that on the floor of the parliamentary
You can't-
inquiry when we closed that out,
Right.
and the support was 100%
Right.
of the Republicans. So there's no way they're going to override any of those votes.
There was 100%, and there was some Democrats with us.
Yeah, there was 2 or 3 Democrats that voted with us. Yeah, you're right.
Because now I'm going to forget his name. My friend in
Well, Goley,
Jeff
fireman,
Jeff
Goley.
Goley.
Yeah, Jeff has
Jeff
always been.
Goley is really good on the Second Amendment.
He sure
so
is.
when
We
you
may
got-
we
when you
may
guys-
disagree on other issues,
Yeah.
but he's right there with us on guns.
Yeah, so as much as we have a difficulty with the Democrats on the Second Amendment, Jeff Goley is one of your representatives, and he's pretty darn good. He's pretty solid. Oh, so what was I going to talk about? I was going to say something. Do you remember? Started
I
off.
don't remember.
Yeah,
any
Josh,
meetings
you're not in his head yet, huh? Let me see. We've been up there. You've been up there. How many terms? 8 or 9?
Oh, jeez. I think. Let's see. 1,
Because
2,
I'm on my 7th
3,
term.
4, 5,
You took a term off, didn't you,
6,
back
7, 8. This is my 9th term.
Oh, good thing you're 9 because pretty soon he'll be running out of fingers and toes.
I know. I'll have to
You
take
know,
my shoes off.
Yeah. But anyways, my 3rd term, I co-sponsored Stand Your Ground here in New Hampshire.
Yep.
And where you have the right to protect yourself, where you have the right to be, which is law.
Yeah.
And remember, the governor had to let it go through without a signature because we had the votes to override his veto.
Oh, is that why you let it go?
Yeah, that's
Oh,
why I let
okay,
it go,
okay.
because he knew we had fought it on the
was-
floor. It would have been embarrassing.
Yeah. Overriding a veto is not a.
Lynch?
That was Governor Lynch, yeah.
Yeah. He was a nice guy.
Yeah, I like John Lynch, and I didn't care too much for Maggie Hassan. Maggie was a tax and spender. She was no good. I mean, I was there when they did the budget. I was there 11 o'clock at night. I left, and they went into recess. I thought they were coming back just to vote and pass it. They came back they pulled revenues out of the sky, put us in debt about $850 million.
Yep.
And then Bill O'Brien and us had to come back the next term. We won and fix it. We had to cut $850 million.
What people may not understand is the New Hampshire budget, the way it works, is the Ways and Means Committee tries to discern or divine how much revenue is going to come in the next 2 years. And if that money is X, then the Finance Committee can spend up to X. So if the Ways and Means Committee is wants to, they can just imagine money that may come in because the state's going to win the lottery
Right.
or something. Whatever stuff they can come up with to build that up to justify more spending, and that's what they did.
That
That's
either
why-
makes us state or breaks us one way or another on their revenue projections.
That's why one
Yeah.
reason in 2012 when we got elected, was it 2010 or 2012 was O'Brien? 10?
2011, 12, yeah, I think.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, 'cause
When that happened, it was after the Democrats had overspent. So then we came in and had
10,
to
11, I think.
10, 11. Yeah, it was 10, 11.
10, 11, yeah.
Because we got voted in 10 and we served 11 and 12. That meant in 2011 we had to come in and try to repair all the damage done, which, that's when the Democrats start saying, well, they're going to throw Granny in the river and jettison babies.
Oh, they attacked Bill O'Brien big time on that. And
Yeah.
It was a shame. I mean, when you do one-time spending, imagine doing that in your house. Every time one-time spending on a credit card, eventually it comes due. You got to pay it.
Yeah.
And that's what they did. They took stimulus money. They took credit card. They took a highway over in Portsmouth and sold. They actually taken from one pocket to another. They sold the highway to appease authority. Okay, so they can cover a $10 million hole that they had, and it just put us in bigger debt there. But the media killed us.
Yeah.
Because they kept going after, attacking us. Oh, we
Well, you
were
see that now-
bad people.
You see that now with Trump. The media. Okay, so what's in the news lately is how racist Trump is. Okay, the New York Times, to their credit, came out with an article. I think it was yesterday, of the 558 people that Trump has attacked. In that list was Glenn Beck, Ted Cruz, Jeb Bush, et cetera, et cetera,
right.
et cetera. What Trump does is if you attack him, he's going to attack you
Over
back.
and over.
And that's it. It's as simple as that. But because the last two people he retaliated, or there's a group of the four women of the apocalypse, and that the representative from Detroit, he just attacks back.
Right.
But now because they have dark skin, they're trying to claim he's racist.
Oh, it's out of
That's
control.
not new. I mean, they claimed he was racist on, like you said, 500 plus folks that he's pushed back against. But what's new and what the media doesn't understand is that Trump is pushing back, right? Of all of those folks, he didn't fire the first shot, right? I mean, it goes way back to, his long-standing feuds with Rosie O'Donnell and whatnot. There are people who have something to say about him. He calls it out as false. And he retaliates, right? He pushes back, and that pushback is what the media is not used to. It's what the liberals are not used to.
No,
they're
not at
used
all.
They're used to our national GOP representatives folding over, right?
Well, you know what they're doing is they're taking their words out of context. I mean, I use me for an example. I helped President Trump write his veterans plan. I traveled around the country. I was on the stage with him. I spoke at all his rallies around the country. In Cleveland, Ohio, I made a comment. You remember my comment there?
I
And
love
I
your
said,
comment.
I'm on the radio, the Kahuna Show, right in Cleveland, because I was a delegate and I sat on one of the credentialing committee, my wife and I. And I said, we're talking about Benghazi. Now, I'm a 22-year Marine, disabled vet. I served in Desert Storm. But anyways, I made a comment. I said, I'm speaking as a veteran. Hillary Clinton should go in front of a firing squad and shot for treason. Now, to put the death, treason is in the Constitution, or go to jail. Under U.S. Code 18, put the death, firing squad, and treason's all still under the law.
Yeah,
Aiding and abetting the enemy.
and those are legitimate responses to wartime crimes,
Right.
And if you're not fulfilling your duty, as what her role was in that Benghazi incident, right? If you're laying down on the job, there are consequences.
Well, as a American, I had an opinion in accordance with the law and the Constitution. The media took my words and said I wanted her assassinated. Never ever those words come out of my mouth. We're a nation of laws. When I said
Absolutely.
should, you have to be found guilty. But there's some slow people out there that don't know the law.
That's really not true. It's not that there's slow people out there that don't know the law. There are people out
Or
there.
they're ignorant.
No.
I'm going to call them ignorant, the
They're
ones
not-
that attack
they-
me.
I
Some
disagree.
of them are, but I
I don't
we'll
think
agree
so.
to disagree because
No, let me just finish. Okay, I don't think they're ignorant, and I don't think they're slow. They saw that as an opportunity to twist your words just slightly so they can get a quote and then attack you, because what they were trying to do is tear down anybody associated with Trump.
right.
Period. Because Lewandowski, the same thing. They tore him down,
Yeah.
and he was just protecting the
Corey's
president.
an honorable guy. I've known him for years. you
Right?
know.
Isn't that true?
Yeah, that's right.
Everybody that was close to the president, they have deliberately waited for a opening and then distorted it to make them look bad and take them out.
Yeah.
And that's really the play that they make and have been making for years. It's just becoming more evident that they're doing that. Is like you said, some of them are actually dumb enough to believe what they thought you said,
Right.
But there's a portion of them that are doing this deliberately. They're twisting these words deliberately in hopes that the audience will believe them.
Right.
And that's exactly how mass opinion is produced.
Well, they wanted me to apologize, some on the GOP, and I told them to kiss off. I stand by what I said. I never
That's not what you
apologized.
actually
nothing.
said.
and
No,
again,
I used some other
again,
words,
that's
but I won't do it on TV.
That's
You know what I
something.
mean? So I'll be
that's
nice.
something that we're not used to.
Right.
Just like we're not used to a Republican president pushing back, we're not used to Republican lawmakers, saying no. I'm not going to apologize
Right.
for that.
Freedom of speech is a beautiful thing. I didn't serve 22 years in the Marine Corps to give up 1 inch of my freedom of speech.
Exactly.
And if it's not politically correct, life's a beach.
Right.
Oh yeah, no. My dad was a drill instructor in the Marines and was in the Chosin Reservoir. He was not very careful about the words he chose when he found something he disagreed with.
I hear it. There's always somebody that's going to get their feelings hurt. I mean,
Well,
even
that's
if-
what we have. We have a whole dang nation.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think it's the whole nation, by the way.
No, I don't think so.
this
I
is
think
all-
it's a small amount.
Well-
The
Well,
minor-
right now, what you have is you have the media, and they're in bed with Twitter. Okay, and Twitter, I forget the number, but something like 80% of Twitter is occupied by far lefties, and they're using that as a justification for their opinion. They'll say, "Well, Twitter blew up over X." Well, that doesn't mean anything. They're
That's
all
right.
far left nutbags.
that's right.
So yes, they blew up over X because,
Yeah.
but that doesn't represent the people.
No,
And we have the whole Democratic. They're going to have the debate tonight. And if you look at the Democratic group that's running for the United States president, they're all like children of Twitter, but they don't represent the people.
Well, where you just brought us right into what your subject was, one of them for the night on the free stuff. Tonight
free
will be
stuff.
like a free giveaway on anything to buy a vote.
They should have them all
know?
dress up as Santa Claus.
Yeah, they should. I mean, somewhere, somehow, somebody has to pay. No matter whether you like it or not, somebody's got to pay that bill.
They're
Whether it be an
masking that.
educator.
They don't want you to
Yeah.
to think that deep.
No, not at all. I mean, if you take a look at the school systems that we have right now, I mean, one town, 13,000 per kid, another town, 14, another one, 15, 16, 17. You know what I mean? And we're not getting the same that we got before the Claremont decision in 1999 before the state jumped in and had to throw all this money at the school system. Because, New Hampshire was top notch in public schools years ago, just like Massachusetts, top notch. You know what I mean? And yeah, everything in the school system was free in the public schools, but somebody's paying.
Exactly.
And when you keep raising taxes, somebody's quality of life is going away. And I can say in 13 years as a legislator, I haven't voted for one new tax. Wait, I take that back. I voted for a marijuana tax. That's the only tax. I did. I voted to tax marijuana.
No,
But otherwise, that's the only tax I voted for in 13 years.
I wanted Josh to read that because he can read out loud better than I can't read and talk at the same time.
All right. So, Alexis de Tocqueville.
To Tocqueville, yeah.
This is a quote from approximately 200 years ago. "The American Republic will endure until politicians realize they can bribe the people with their own money.
Amen. That's right.
So,
And that's exactly what's taking place in the Democrat
Yeah.
Party today. So.
I mean, you look at it, free college. Look at there's Vernon Supreme when he comes around. Free ponies.
free ponies. Yeah,
Right?
free ponies.
I've been looking for my pony. I haven't
I
seen
know.
it yet.
Yeah, he hadn't got
Yeah,
elected
yeah.
yet. So,
But anyway, free college, free Medicare for all. I mean, Medicare, there's a stop at 80%.
Yeah.
When you have your Medicare and you go into a elderly home, nursing home, after so much time, you reduce from Medicare to Medicaid to pick up the cost. There's a big difference there because Medicare only covers so much of it. A lot of people don't realize, you want Medicare for all. That's crazy. You're asking for problems there with insurance.
at the last time, not this past yesterday, but the one before that, at the Democratic debate, they said, "Who believes in free medical care for undocumented aliens
all
or
put their
illegal
hands up.
aliens?" They all had their hands
Yeah,
up.
that's crazy.
So you got people in the United States now who can't afford medical insurance, and you're going to give it to people who, came into this country illegally.
Here in New Hampshire, Gary, we have homeless women, mothers
Yeah.
with children on the streets. Drug addicts and other stuff on the streets. Why are we spending billions of dollars on that wall? I mean, we should build a wall, but I mean, all these people coming in are costing us billions that we could be taking care of every homeless mother and get them into a place. American citizens, we could be taking care of them. We could be taking care of the people in New York, the firemen, which they just passed that bill, and we wouldn't have to sweat it because of the money that's going to cost us. We could take care of veterans better than we're doing. All the homeless veterans, little by little, we're cleaning that up.
All of those causes are wonderful causes that you're not going to find a single liberal to go against.
No,
right?
because-
You
you're
ask them
right.
all, do our first responders deserve this help? Do our addicts and homeless deserve this help? Do our veterans deserve this help? They're all going to say yes.
Yeah.
And then the question you need to then say, oh, well, how much effort are we going to spend on this border? How much money are we going to spend processing all of these people and not dealing with that? That border wall is going to be the least expensive
You ain't
way
kidding.
of getting to focus on Americans instead
Yeah.
of illegals.
In the long run, we will save billions of dollars
Exactly.
that we won't have to pay
Oh
in
yeah,
the
a
schools.
lot more than it costs to build the wall.
One other thing here in New Hampshire, I sat on the commission over the summer on the PTSD for police and fire. I didn't realize how the issues there that workman comp didn't cover mental health to take care of these people. It's all about the almighty dollar.
Yeah,
But yet we're
and
spending
wasn't
money.
that the new? Didn't we just pass that?
Yeah, we just passed the bill, yes. But I'm saying is, why did we have to fight for that? Why did we have to put in legislation? Why didn't workman comp just cover them policemen? How many police or firemen got pushed aside over the years because they wouldn't cover mental health?
How many? I'd like to know is how many of them lost their jobs
Yeah,
because if somebody's suffering from post-traumatic stress, it affects them.
oh, big time.
Big time, and and it affects their judgment and everything else. I was went to a talk with General Bulldog a while ago, and he was saying how he started implementing the people under his command with started treating them for post-traumatic stress, even though they hadn't admitted they have it.
Right.
Because he said everybody
Nobody
that goes
wants to
into,
admit it.
he says everybody that goes into combat comes out with post-traumatic stress. They just won't admit it. So we started treating them and helping them,
Right.
because once they started getting help, they become much better soldiers. And it's the same thing with our policemen or firemen that have gone into, a friend of mine, Paul Baldasaro. He was a state rep here, Democrat, one of the kindest, gentlest people I've ever met. And he still remembered going into a home here in Manchester, and he didn't get to the little kid had been hiding under the bed, and he didn't get to them.
Yeah.
How much does that mess you up?
Right.
When
Oh, yeah.
You were probably 2 feet away from the little kid.
Well, in the military, in my time in the Marine Corps, I seen people there where they had PTSD, they blackballed. And
Oh,
you
yeah.
end up being pushed out, medical.
Yeah.
So, when I was on the commission, I told the firemen and police that were there, be careful what you ask for. The state troopers have an awesome program. They have a police officer, his only function is taking care of PTSD. He does not treat them or bring them to get him help at the station where he works at. He meets them somewhere. So the command element, don't know that he's getting help.
Right.
Because otherwise it's only human. Because nobody, even my life as a Marine, do you want to be in the fire, a firefight with somebody who
Right.
gets,
It's always in the back of your
yeah,
head.
you know what I mean? You're worried. Well, he
Can I
snapped.
rely on this
Right.
person?
Is he there that he's going to cover my back?
Right.
You know what I mean? So, and I'm sure, I know as a Marine I thought that, but I know as a fireman and policeman, do they think the same? Is somebody going to freeze in a gunfight?
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's better that they get treated without the command element knowing or whatever, because why should they lose their job? That's crazy. Like a lot of military people I've seen get booted out on a medical and then have to go fight for benefits.
I'll tell you, as a child of somebody, because I didn't understand it at the time, but my dad was in some pretty horrible stuff in Korea. And like I said, I didn't get it at the time because I was a little kid. I just thought he was really strict. But looking back, I could tell he suffered from post-traumatic stress for probably 20-something years anyway. He didn't chill out till he was almost 50. So treating people, it's a snowball effect. If you don't treat a guy like my dad with post-traumatic stress, which he should all get treated if they've been in combat, and to one degree or another, well, what does that do to the kids? I mean, I had friends that wouldn't come over to my house because they were afraid of my dad. My dad never did anything to any of them. He never threatened any of them. He never did anything that would make them be afraid. But his presence scared people because he's still, dealing with that event. And so, how much does not treating it affect children, grandchildren,
it does. It affects,
families, wives, suicides,
There were many
divorces?
studies during the Vietnam there on the children that affected during that war there. It did. So a few years ago, we did a compact, where we with the schools there to ask, is he a veteran, your father a veteran? Understanding before, because the quick answer is put a kid on on a psychopathic drug. And some of the mothers or parents are using that just to get SSI money, extra money. If you look at the whole picture,
they get more money
they get
because
more
the kid's on drugs.
Because the kids on, they can get SSI.
Gosh.
It's a disgrace.
Okay, wait. I'm going to let you go, but just so people understand, that's one thing Democrats do all the time, and I shouldn't blame Democrats because I'm not positive in this particular case.
Not all. The
but
progressives.
They do it all the time. Is they associate, they connect something with, like in this case, if your kid's on Ritalin, you get medication. What does that do? Who paid for that bill? Probably the drug companies, because the drug companies want more people to do Ritalin. So it is enabling drug addiction.
Right.
Sorry.
Now, I'm going to take a look at the 22 veterans a day that commit suicide. If we did a study and took a look at how many were on those psychopathic drugs, you'll find out. And the reason why I know it's the drugs, because I had a sister-in-law that committed suicide.
Yeah.
Okay, and she was on those depression stuff and everything else, and she just tried 7 times. She finally got it. On the 8th time, she got it. We got her she was killed herself in a hotel room here in New Hampshire. But what I'm saying is, so I've been there. I've been involved with it, and stuff to see what goes on, even in the military. But the bottom line is, this is where we should be focusing on the money, not these people trying to bust in, to our borders, and we're spending trillions of dollars on these people. It's a disgrace.
Yeah.
And that's why I support the president, to get that wall built, because down the road, years to come, it'll be a big savings for the country, and we can spend our money properly.
I'll tell you, good evidence of post-traumatic stress, and it has nothing to do with whether the soldiers were victorious or not. Because I've done a lot of studying on divorce patterns, and it messed me up. It kind of confused me at first because I saw the divorce patterns during the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and they spiked like crazy during the 60s when you ended up with a no-fault divorce. And the other variable was the Democrats started giving money to people, to young women who had children out of wedlock as long as dad didn't come back. So the fatherlessness rate went up because you are, again, enabling irresponsible behavior, paying to get people to do things that are wrong. So anyway, one of the spikes that kind of confused me at first was right after the end of World War II. the divorce rate went like this and then settled down again. Post-traumatic stress.
Yeah.
Those guys coming back, even though they were victorious and they were all heroes, is still the stuff playing in their brain is not good.
Well, when you see stuff like, and let me try to draw an example. I mean, burnt bodies, blown up arms, legs,
It doesn't go
in
away.
bunkers or
Ever.
in oil fires and things like that. No, you don't. You see it in the middle of the night. You know what I mean? It goes, but sometimes some people learn how to deal with that stuff. Because I know, you break up and your bed is soaked in, what I mean? And some of the things that go on there, but you learn to deal with it. We're talking with other veterans and stuff. I recommend, police, you talk with other police, just like veterans. By going to a VFW or American Legion makes a big difference because you communicate with other people that know. But the quick answer for the medical field is put you on a depressant pill.
Right.
Get you on drugs.
Get you on drugs.
I refused years ago my son when he was 8 years old in school in California. I was stationed out of Camp Pendleton. I was out in the field. I come home. My wife says, we got to go get Ritalin. They're putting my son on Ritalin. I said, he's an active kid. What do you mean Ritalin? The kid's smart. He's bored with whatever he's doing, probably at school. I refuse. My son today, if you ever watch Sly PD, he's on his third season. He's in South Carolina. He started out in...
Is he with Richland County?
Yeah, he's in Richland County, yeah. My son is the cameraman. He runs around with the police with a bulletproof vest.
Oh, nice.
This is a
No
kid they wanted to
way.
put on Ritalin that I refused.
I never miss it.
He's got a bachelor's degree, went on to college. He was a hyper kid. But parents need to learn how to deal. If you have a boy who wants to be a boy, he gets into everything. You know what I mean? That's just
what they
like
do.
That's what we do. Yeah,
they're
that's
not-
right.
if a little boy
we
isn't
wrestle,
getting into
we
everything-
fight. You know what I mean? Amongst when you're little boys, I had 3 brothers. We fought all the time. We wrestled. You know what I mean? So when I seen that in my son, because he was always active, always in something, always running across, but he was just an active kid.
Yeah.
But he's successful today. So any parents out there where they want to put your kids on these drugs, I tell them to go pound sand.
Yeah, they tried to do that to my son too. Same
Yeah.
reason. It was actually interesting. I studied with the Seventh-day Adventists for a while, and one of the founders, I think she was the founder or a founder, was her recommendation. This is in the 1800s. Her recommendation is you don't even put a boy in school till they're at least 10, because they need to be out running around, climbing trees, jumping on things.
Right. Well, I have 4 sons and 3 daughters, so I've been there, done that, and understand that each one is as an individual,
Yeah.
person. But the bottom line is to put them on the drugs to try to slow them down. And what they don't realize, after 13 years old, if that kid's dream was to be a Marine or whatever, you can't even join the service if you're on them drugs, 14, 15, 16 years old.
Yeah, they
It's
won't.
like they won't take them.
Yeah.
You're considered broken. And that's why if you take, I was a former Marine Corps recruiter, back in 1983 to 86 out of Boston. And, we wouldn't take them. We screened and said, no, we can't
Even
do
if
them.
they weren't currently on them?
Even
So
if they weren't
were
currently, because
previously
if
on
they
them-
were previously on it after 13 years old, we wouldn't take them. I don't think they changed that, the rule on that. Of course, I've been out of the Marine Corps since 90, when I retired January of 98. But I heard they're still the same way,
Yeah, well, if you look at, probably getting too far afield, but did we actually have a subject? Probably not.
I think we just decided to talk about why Republicans don't give away free stuff. I think we're still on that
We're
subject.
still on there?
Yeah, we still are. It's great to be an American. I've been all over the world. I've trained with British Marines, NATO forces, Taiwan Marines. I mean, I've been everywhere. And I kiss the ground I walk on in this country. Most Americans, I shouldn't say more, there's a large section of our
doesn't
country.
that, like, give you blisters?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
There's a large section in this country that does not appreciate what they have, the freedoms they have here. Go to the Philippines, go to Thailand, go to Somalia, go to some of these other countries and take a look. Go to Venezuela, and take a look at how they live and stuff like that. Go to L.A., and see.
I firmly believe that is one of the problems, is that folks don't understand how good it is here. They were born here, they grew up here, and there are a large portion of Americans who have never left American soil for vacation or work or whatnot. And I'm well traveled all over Europe, and I I always look forward to coming home, no matter how long my trip was.
Right.
Because there are just some things that you have to be there to see it, to realize, oh, you're not allowed to do that? Well, we are.
Right.
Or why do we have to follow this rule? We don't, there's restrictions everywhere you go. And, I've been to Russia. I've been to,
You have to He'll usually-
but what the point is that folks don't appreciate it
No.
because they've never had to leave and they've never witnessed it elsewhere.
You ain't kidding. And everything's been given to them. I mean, I'm a true believer in, like, I have fourth graders that come up. And, under the U.S. Constitution, many
Mary-
of them, yeah, they do it.
Just a second. You got to press the button
Yeah.
for, I think it's that one. I
But-
can't see.
The fourth graders don't even know about the New Hampshire Constitution that we have. They think we only
Yes,
comply
that
with
one?
the U.S.
so.
Constitution.
Hello?
I think we're pushing the wrong button.
Oh, maybe it's this one.
It
Maybe
says
not.
press on and off.
Whatever. You're not used to getting calls?
No, I'm just training him,
Oh.
and I
but-
don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
See, now
She
you're.
calls back, you can pick it up out there.
How do you pick it up?
Press the on and off button.
Where's
Oh,
that?
that one. It's over here. It's on the other.
Oh,
Line 1, the one that says line 1.
Okay, so it's this one.
okay. All right.
She's gone now.
Oh,
Oh,
sorry,
okay.
Mary. We'll try
But
again
anyway,
later.
What I was saying here about the New Hampshire Constitution, most kids today in New Hampshire don't even know that New Hampshire has a Constitution. I think every person in New Hampshire needs to have their kids read this and this to get an understanding of the freedoms that we have.
Well, I don't think most people understand what the
No,
Constitution
they
is.
don't. I believe they don't.
I mean, that you see what people. We all know what laws are. You can't go, over the speed limit. Those are
Right.
basic laws.
But we're a nation of laws, and that's what we were
those
founded
are,
on.
But those are beneath the Constitution.
Right.
You have the
Yeah.
Constitution that's superior legally
Right.
to everything else, and people don't even know what those.
But when
Oh,
you
we
when
can
you
try
look
again.
when you look to government for the answers, I wish somebody can show me where in the U.S. Constitution it says that
Go ahead, press it.
education is the federal government's responsibility.
Right.
It's not.
Hello,
Hello, how you guys doing?
we're doing good,
Good.
Mary. What's up?
Hey, glad to see you, Al.
Oh, hi,
You're
Mary.
looking good.
Oh, thank
Hey,
you.
I agree with you about, having the kids play. I keep saying that to my nieces the same way. Let the kids be kids be kids. Let the boys, even the girls, love, those jungle things, whatever they have. Leave them alone. Let them play. Let them
That's
be
right.
kids.
Do you know, Mary, I co-sponsored, you have a wonderful woman running for mayor here. I co-sponsored legislation with Victoria Sullivan on play base for kindergarten. Made it mandatory because what happened is the kids in the kindergarten sitting around a classroom. These kids need to be out running. They need to be out
You're
playing
right.
and getting ready, exercise. And it passed. It's the law in New Hampshire. Victoria Sullivan led that fight.
It's actually it's very true. I know a friend of mine always said that with little boys you gotta run them like dogs.
Yeah, because they're very active. I got 4 sons there.
Well, when I was younger, I was always active, always doing something
Yeah,
and
Yeah.
everything. It doesn't matter, if you're a boy or a girl. You got girls today playing baseball. You got girls playing hockey. They're doing everything today.
Right.
yeah, it's good
So
too.
leave the kids alone.
Right.
Yeah.
Let them be kids.
But you don't see them outside like we used to years ago playing. You don't see moms
Yeah,
and
I
dads
know.
kicking them
They're
out of the
on
house.
computers and
Right.
just playing with their games and
Yeah,
stuff.
they're playing with their games. They need to get back out in the field. They need to get back out wrestling with each other, playing volleyball or playing soccer, playing baseball. Them days, I don't know what happened.
You're right.
And
I agree 100% with you.
Yeah, I grew up with 3 brothers and 4 sisters too, and I understand fully. We wrestled with my brothers all the time. I was always the skinny one.
I had a sister that's almost 3 years older than I am and always taller than I was.
Yep.
But it still got to the point where we used to fight, we fought like cat and dogs. We really did. We never got along because I was always the one outside, doing something with my father, either chopping some wood down. I'm working outside, but my sister was one of them that she didn't want to get her hands dirty like I did.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's I remember that when I was a little kid. I would leave in the morning after I got fed, and I would come back in the evening, wicked tired, wicked hungry, and pretty gross.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And you knew when to come home when the
Even
street
for
lights
myself
came
in
on.
the 80s, right? So, I would leave and I would not be back.
Yeah.
No.
For
When the
hours.
street lights came on, that's how I grew up
Yeah.
in Cambridge, Mass.
Yeah.
So when them street lights come on, you better have your butt home. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hey,
that's right.
Thanks for the call, Mary.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Get you guys later.
All right,
Bye.
thanks. Bye. Yeah, no, it's a shame on what goes on today with the kids.
Well, there's another side of that. I read a story today about a 10-year-old. I don't remember where. It was a Midwest city. I'm sure I could find it if I looked for it. But a 10-year-old was arrested for assault after a dodgeball game at recess.
Wow.
He had thrown the dodgeball and hit the kid in the face, and the mother decided to press charges
Oh, that's crazy.
after school. Now, it turns out that the child that was hit did have other disorders that made the hit exacerbated the issue. But then the question becomes, well, he was participating in a game where they were throwing things at each other. But this basic, playing dodgeball. I mean,
Right.
who didn't play dodgeball as a child, in school, out of school, whatever? And now you're at your 10-year-old is at risk of being arrested, and it's the litigious society
It's
is
insane.
is making things worse on everyone.
Do you know,
No.
as a Marine, I coached T-ball and other stuff with my kids when I was home, and I'd make the kids, as a Marine now, make the kids run laps and do all this stuff. They had never had a complaint. When I got out of the Marine Corps, my kids were playing baseball now in Delaware, and I got, let me get out, I'll coach with them and stuff like that, because I played ball in my younger days. And the parents were mad because I made their kids run.
Really?
Yeah, because I made them run laps because if they were screwing up. You know what I'm saying? We're breeding snowflakes. We're not breeding tough kids no more. We got rid of competition. Everybody gets a plaque or a trophy. No more of this competition. I mean, now you got boys dressed as girls that are playing in girl sports now, and they're winning. So where are all the mothers raising hell on this?
The trans weightlifter that's
Yeah,
making the news
where are all
lately.
the mothers? He's showing something over there.
Yeah, they're. I don't understand why the feminists aren't going absolutely nuts. What are we doing?
I don't understand, moms, why. If I had kids in the school
Well, if you're a-
I'd be fighting if I
If you're
my
a
daughters.
feminist and you want your women to have the same opportunity as men to play certain games,
Yeah.
well, you got to be pretty upset because transgender people could just take over all female
Oh,
sports.
you ain't kidding. And those young girls will never, ever get scholarships, anything, because that boy who's a girl now will get that scholarship.
Yep.
And it's a shame.
And it is completely.
But where is all the moms?
Where's the
yelling,
outrage?
dads?
There should be
Where's the
outrage. There should be outrage.
We fought it on the floor. We spoke up about it and stuff. I even brought up, I do not want my granddaughter showering with a boy who thinks she's a girl with a package,
Right.
at gym or whatever, at the, wherever.
No, it's completely wrong because there's going to be a lot of boys who pretend to be girls just to go in and shower with a girl.
No, I hear you.
We saw that happen almost immediately as soon as Target opened up their restroom policy.
Yeah.
We saw it, I think, within a week. We had an arrest of someone entering the bathroom with a 12-year-old girl. So
Wow.
Yeah.
it happens.
I'd be
I mean,
standing-
we want to trust. We want to trust. But the fact is, with 300 million people, there's going to be an element that abuses any relaxation of the rules that have been in place forever.
As a father, I'd be right by that door,
Absolutely.
and if my kids were that
You
young.
punch the jerk in the nose, it's a
yeah,
hate crime.
yeah, God help them.
Right.
God help them, yeah.
But right?
Yeah.
It would be a hate crime.
Oh, yeah.
Under the way that these.
But you know something? My kids, I always told them, you'll be the ones why I go to jail.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I would damn well, somebody tried or whatever, done anything stupid, God help them. The Marine in me would come out.
Yeah.
I'd come out of retirement. You know what I mean?
So anyway, one of the things that happened in the news today is because Trump attacked Detroit, Is it Detroit? Did I
No,
get that right?
Baltimore.
Baltimore.
Yeah, Cummins, Congressman Cummins.
Detroit, Baltimore,
Yeah, it's probably
all
the same
liberal
thing.
run. Yeah.
And what I'd like to talk about is he is attacking Baltimore. He's I think he's mentioned stuff about Nancy Pelosi in her district, and why would anybody, if you look at the districts controlled by Democrats, San Francisco, L.A., Detroit, looking at what Democrats do, like San Francisco is a really good example. San Francisco has, I can't imagine a city that probably gets more money in taxes than San
right.
Francisco, but there's people pooping in the streets,
And they allow it.
and there's people doing drugs in the street
Right.
and leaving
Same thing
needles
in LA.
everywhere.
Oh, and instead of dealing with the issue at its core, they're exacerbating it. So now they have what has been nicknamed the Poop Patrol in San Francisco. And as a Poop Patrol member, you wear a full body suit and you go around cleaning up.
Oh,
and,
that's
and
crazy.
these folks, they're making over $100,000.
That's crazy.
No.
Yeah, that's
That-
your job
yeah,
is to
that's
walk
crazy.
around the city
Yeah.
picking this stuff up, and their paychecks are coming in at over $100,000.
You know, I live next door
per
here
person.
on the Manchester line in Londonderry. And when I used to come into Manchester, and you were beautiful, you know what I mean? When you had Mayor
Gatsis.
Gatsis and the other mayor, what's that? Jeez, I can't even think of his name. He was executive council, Ray Wazurk.
Yep.
But now you come into the city, the homeless people, it's out of control. You know what I mean? And then you drive along the waterfront there and see all, garbage and other stuff there. I hope Victoria can take back this city, because you got Victoria Sullivan running here, and I know we both served with her in the House, and she's going to be an asset to bring back Manchester the way it should be. Manchester's a beautiful city.
Yeah, I
know?
don't understand. Like I said, I don't understand how you can rationally vote for a Democrat to run anything, much less a country, because what they do when they run a city is destroy it.
You ain't kidding. I mean, look at all the cities that we have homelessness quite a bit. It's all Democrat cities. They've got piles of garbage in different areas, needles in the parks,
Well,
where kids play.
Cummings didn't which city is he from? Detroit? Or,
My wife's from Detroit.
no, what city's Cummings?
Baltimore.
Baltimore.
Oh, Baltimore.
So I keep
yeah.
messing that up. But anyway, he got when Obama was president, Baltimore got $3 billion to help clean that place up.
I'm
And
Where
they're
did it
blessed.
go?
still number 9 on Orkin's rattiest cities in the country.
I just listened to a video earlier before I came here with Cummins in 1999 talking about Baltimore. His district is a drug-infested district. I just watched it right out of his lips in 1999. Was he a racist then? I've been called racist many times during my election. I'm attacked every election. They're determined to knock me out because I say things that people only dream of. But anyways, my sister-in-law is African-American. I have African-American nieces and nephews. I see here today in America, I don't see the racists like they see, because more and more African-Americans, Italians, Irish, white, whatever, into marriage and everything else. Not like years ago, where they had problems there 50, 60 years ago. Everyone's mingling together. In the Marine Corps, we covered each other's butt. We didn't care what color you were. You know what I mean? When you're in a foxhole, whatever you were doing, or in another country. These Democrats are dividing this country, and they need to open their eyes up and realize they're the only ones calling people racist.
Right.
Look at Reagan.
When criticism comes, it's coming based on the content and subject matter. It's
Right.
not coming based on the color of anyone's skin, right?
Right.
I mean, the criticism of Baltimore being a rat-infested city is number 9
It's the
on
truth.
Orkin's most rat-infested cities in the
Yeah.
country right now. It's number 23 on Business Insider's most violent cities in the world, right? They publish that list every year. It's number 23 on the list is for murder rate, right? So Baltimore is not a pleasant place to be right now, and the question begs, where did that $3 billion that Obama gave Baltimore go?
That's right. When I was at the inaugural in Washington, D.C., we stayed in right there in Washington, D.C. at a hotel. I can't even remember the name. But anyways, we're outside, and I'm watching the rats come in the next hotel where they're working at, right, doing demolition, and watching rats come in and out, and big son of a guns
Right.
going in. So these cities that are being run by Democrats, they're out of control. Well, you know what I mean? And then they get mad at somebody like me or you for speaking out. I don't care anyways. Get mad at me. Vote me out. I'll go to Florida during the winter. You know what I mean? So, but I do a lot of good things for people, and Gary the same thing. Why we keep getting reelected.
No, I just keep a low profile.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm probably the most attacked state rep in
Live
the country.
TV is low profile.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not very good at it.
When he goes to the floor, he don't keep a low profile. He's got everyone in stitches there. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it is amazing. If you, it's just become so obvious what the result of socialist policies, democratic policies are. I mean, you have all the Democrats who are going to be on stage tonight offering free stuff to everybody, and what that goes back to is if you looked at the original democracy, was in Greece. And what happened was, eventually, my history is correct, in Greece, what happened is it was a true democracy. People got to vote on whatever they wanted. And what happened is, as time went on, the majority realized that they had complete control.
Mm-hmm.
Well, once they understood that, they grasped the idea that they had complete control of everything, then if the majority of people will always make much less than a minority of the people.
Right.
Because a minority of the people are go-getters, fighters, entrepreneurs, maybe they inherited money, but for whatever reason, the majority will always be the people that make the least amount of money. But when the majority realized that all they had to do is vote to take the money away from all those people, that's when the system completely collapsed. Because if you can vote to take away, let's say you're a multimillionaire or a billionaire, if I can just vote to take away all your money because I resent the fact that you made money, then that means everybody that is in your price group or category, or every billionaire, millionaire, is just going to leave.
Mm-hmm.
They've got the money to leave. That's what's happening in New York right now. Right now in New York City, they've got a huge shortfall because they kept taxing people until the people that had enough money to just go went.
Right.
Businesses are starting to leave New York, New Jersey,
California.
Even
Right.
even the big Silicon Valley companies are starting to look elsewhere because it's just not it's not profitable.
Right. Even here in New Hampshire, we have to be careful because the municipalities, what's happening in many of them throughout the state, every 2 years or every year they're raising property taxes. Eventually, you're going to run out of other people's money. Eventually, you're going to go broke. Eventually, the retirement system is going to go flat. We can't support it on what's going on here in New Hampshire. I've been saying this for years. When we raise it, I'll use my town. I'm in the 9th largest district in the state. When we raise taxes there, because the school's out of control in my district, when we raise taxes there, somebody has to move out because the civilians aren't getting raises like the people that work for the system.
Right.
You know what I mean? So their quality of life, they're paying those taxes, are diminishing. So I get calls all the time saying, geez, I can't afford that anymore. I got to move. My taxes keep going up every year, but my pay hasn't gone up.
Right.
So we have to be careful here in New Hampshire. We don't have the revenue like other states, Massachusetts and other, where they're taxing people out of their homes. Because they keep saying here, well, let's put in a sales tax. Do you know a state in the country where they ever put in a sales tax? I use Connecticut was one of the last. When they put that sales tax in and said everyone's property taxes are going to go down, they're probably one of the highest property taxes
Everyone's
besides
addicted
New
to
York
the money.
and California.
I'm not
and the
aware
country.
of any place
Nowhere.
where taxes go
Right.
down.
Look at New Jersey. New
even
Jersey put
even
their
when
tax
taxes
in.
are supposed to
Yeah.
expire, they find a way to extend them
Right.
indefinitely,
Yep.
even when they're supposed to expire. So taxes never go down. It's extremely rare, and it takes a very dedicated politician and some followers to do it.
That's right. Yeah.
But it typically never happens.
No,
They
it don't.
go
But there's
down.
not enough that will fight for the rights of the people. But we've been fortunate as Republicans And on our budgets, we don't downshift. We don't do any mandates to the cities and towns. We live within our means there. You know what I mean, on things, but there's only so much money.
Well, yeah, because we got a few seconds left, just a couple minutes left. You know what's really good about this whole thing is we finally have a fighter in the White House, and that fighter in the White House has been calling out the news, because what happened before nationally is every time the Republican says, okay, well, we'll try to reduce the taxes and reduce spending, the Democrats and the media, because they're like, two peas in a pod, start saying, oh, they're going to throw Granny out in her, Granny out in the street, and babies are going to all die, and everybody's going to die. But Trump has successfully attacked the news media itself long enough, and so what the news media did is try to double down and keep attacking them,
And they failed.
and they failed. And the news media, like the viewership for the CNN last night was not very good, and it is because we actually have a fighter in the corner office in the White House that is actually going to make being able to rein in spending over time. Because right now he needs Congress. He can't.
Right.
He can't reduce anything with a Democratic-controlled House.
It's like us in the State House here. The Democrats control the Senate and the House, but we're fortunate to have Governor Chris Sununu, who's vetoed the budget. The budget, a 13% increase in spending. The money, they're out of control on raising the taxes on people, cutting the business taxes that we gave a business tax break to encourage more jobs in New Hampshire.
So this is why you got to zoom in on this baby.
August 15th, he'll be at the Snoop.
Yeah, get your tickets. Tickets are
August,
free.
Yeah, August 15th.
Yeah, go to DonaldTrump.com.
DonaldTrump.com.
Put in for your tickets. But there'll be a long line there, so get there early. I'll see you there. I'll be in the back, hopefully. Yeah.
With Tommy. Hey, we'll see you guys next week.
All right. Thanks for having me, guys.
All right.